We are an early childhood music school. We're 19 years old now. Now we have 84 classes across 3 venues each week with 7 other teachers teaching with me, age-appropriate parent participation style programs. And then in more recent years, we also started running professional development training programs for early year educators, so daycare, kindergarten educators, which I'm absolutely loving because I'm so passionate about getting music in front of as many children as possible. When I started working with you, I had 2 other teachers working with me at that point. So my team was myself and 2 other people. And we were running in-person classes, our in-person programs. Look, off the top of my head, probably around about 45 classes a week. So yeah, in that time, we have grown exponentially. There's 9 of us on the team. And relatively speaking, of my working hours in the week, I was probably working in the business 95% and completely drowning. And so now I'm working probably between 50 and 60% of my week is in the business. And because I do some ad hoc extra training, but yeah, about half of the time I'm working on the business. Revenue into the business has grown significantly. So yeah, if you want to measure it in money, absolutely. There's been a huge return that way. Systems organization, I would have to say that was just all over the place. To round out that statement, I was very much still younger children in early high school, and it was very much a case of just not making enough time to get on top of those systems. And part of that was not working with somebody who I really trusted and aligned with. Just getting operational systems in place and feeling organized, not just physically organized, but in my head, just really clearing my brain so that things were feeling easier, lighter. And because one of the wonderful things about working with you, aside from the financials and those physical organizational things, is that I've just felt better about myself as a person. And I've learnt to give myself space. I've learnt to celebrate what I achieve. I've learnt to give back to myself. I've learnt to be kinder to myself when things don't go so well. So I've loved also that a personal development, which brings so much confidence in what you do, giving yourself feeling like just having more faith in the decisions that you make. So yeah, I would have to say financials, business organization, like every little section of my business, from the accounting side through to the actual tech tools, all of the operational day-to-day stuff, admin stuff that goes on behind the scenes, building the team, learning how to coordinate all of those parts. You have a few times said you are literally the CEO of your own business, and I would never in a million years ever say that out loud before, but I'm smiling now because I actually do feel like a bit of a CEO, to be honest, and because I feel like finally I've got all these ducks in a row that are productive, and we have a trajectory. And with consistently touching base with you and working on chunks and reviewing and updating, I have this plan that, no, we're not there yet. That's where we're going. That's where we're headed confidently. So yeah, I do feel like the CEO, and then the personal development, absolutely personal development. Absolutely. That was just being able to segment that as another revenue stream and working through how to set that up, how to make it a comprehensive package, how to promote it, etc. That was all stemmed from time in the mastermind with you, actually. But also, aside from that actually being another product I could market, that actually completely rejuvenated my perspective in my own business, because I worked in that first product for so long. And I was enjoying it, but I felt very much like I was doing the same old. And this actually gave me a new product to really rejuvenate my interest in my business. When you feel more excited and enthusiastic, then that just flows through to everything you're doing. Yeah, there was a kind of twofold benefit there. And I love training the trainer, so I get to do a bit of both, and it's fantastic. I did appreciate that you were explaining things in, for me, layman's terms, because I don't have a big business background. So you needed to actually give me, I'm a music teacher, or I'm a school teacher. So I needed to understand your advice with an explanation that made sense to me. And I did always feel like you were patient and able to do that. I do want to reiterate how respectful you were in the way you do things, because I can be a bit slow to take things up and understand what you're talking about. So I felt like you were patient and respectful, and I could understand. I also want to say that I always felt like you did have my business's best interest at heart. You were actually genuinely trying to support me in my business. And yeah, I didn't feel like there were quick cookie cutter responses. You actually had absorbed what you thought was best for me. And also I appreciated how brave you were at times, saying, you've got to do this if you want this to happen. Like, that takes courage. Working with you gave me the leads that I needed to find the right people to do those different tasks. So that was something that was really important, that people you could connect me with. I really could trust your advice on good work, on people to work with for different tasks. But yeah, the tech tools are a big thing. I just, like, that was an area that has just gotten so complex in recent years that I just didn't know where to start finding the right tool for the right job. And so I really felt like that was a big area of support. The other thing was just my personal development. Just that really taps in the way your mastermind was set up, such that there were specialists in certain areas speaking to us monthly, and then there was work we were doing on ourselves monthly. So the idea was that let's just not forget that you really have to grow yourself as well as your business in alignment. Like to work with you. I like the fact that I like to call you a business consultant rather than a coach, because once I've spent some time with you, I feel like I have a plan of steps that I can actually work through. So some of the hard thinking work is taken out for me, because I feel like I come away with our time together with some real nuts and bolts actions that I can just put into place. So apart from that, moving on from that, then what I like to do is actually break down my week and the hours that I set aside in my each day to work on the business. Then I chunk those goals down. I chunk those pieces of work down and prioritize some of it every day. I like to think at the end of every day, something additional has been achieved on top of the regular routine. My immediate response is, because I trusted what you were telling me, I felt like we were on the same page. I aligned with your approach and your advice, and that I was willing to do the work. And it's about finding somebody that actually you felt was genuinely going to be supporting you and wasn't just ticking a few boxes for their own promotion. And then I was willing to make the investment. You actually, once you make the investment, that's it. But that was the best decision I ever made. And then I just decided I need to keep doing this. I'm going to keep doing this for myself. I've found somebody that I can really work well with. And that's what I've always appreciated about working with you, is that you are very polite and respectful, certainly respectful. I can always say that. But at the same time, you will give an honest answer. And then some really practical advice. So those things together, fantastic. As I understood the rationale behind your advice, and then when I went through actually investing in the new website and all the bits that went with it, I was just like, my whole world opened up. And yeah, I felt like a grown-up. I felt like I needed to get a whole bunch of foundations reset. And that was obviously clear to you as well immediately. And you were able to show me how to do that step by step. And then I was in a phase where, okay, now I just want to start doing some growing. And so that's another whole new set of goals to work on, and strategy, etc. And then, you start to look at new revenue streams, and you just keep developing if that's what you want to do. And so, yeah, there's always room. And absolutely, I feel like you're working on yourself all the time. I know you're going to your own business coaching and masterminds, and you're doing the work on yourself. So I have the faith that there's plenty more advice still to come from you. I immediately felt like you did what you said you were going to do. It must have been in the approach. Must have been in your manner when I first spoke to you, and the language that you used. But it was also the fact that I just felt like you were really honest. I felt gave me you spoke very genuinely, cared about my business, and you weren't going to take me on if I wasn't going to be somebody that you wanted to work with either. That was how I felt. I did some one-on-one with you initially, and that was going so well that I thought I need to keep working. We'd only just scratched the surface in those first few months. There was so much more work to be done. And yeah, that's why things continued. I'd absolutely, definitely recommend you. And for those sorts of reasons, for the practical reason first, that I feel like you are an absolute powerhouse of knowledge, and you've had the experience yourself as a business owner, and then now you've come on board to be a business coach and consultant. And I like that word consultant, because I feel like you're actually working with the person rather than just delivering advice. You're actually in their business with them, which is how I felt. So yeah, I'd absolutely promote you for your practical knowledge and the way you deliver the knowledge and support. So I like that, as I said before, I feel like I can say really dumb things and you're going to be respectful and patient and care about the fact that I might not understand what you tell me first up. That's been so appreciated, because yeah, you don't want to feel condescended to as a client, and you certainly don't come across that way. I also feel like you jam an awful lot of rich advice into a really short time, because you absolutely jam-pack value for money into our sessions. And then it's the balance that you offer. So you offer the personal development and the business development, because you do understand that they go together. And I didn't actually get that initially. I thought, I don't really have time to do that breathing work or that breath work thing. Really? Not today. But then if I know you're going to do this because that's what you signed up to. And so I'd lie down and do my breath work, and then I get up and go, okay, now I understand why these other parts of me are important to invest in as well. Yeah, I guess the balance of business and personal development, I certainly would recommend, is the way that you cleverly present both sides of that. And yeah, and then just feeling constantly supported. I do feel like you've got my business's best interest at heart, and that's who I want to work with, someone who is not just rolling out cookie cutter support.